Hey guys, Lex here, back for some more of the Great Ace Attorney. Last time we finished the first part of the trial by connecting the fourth book to the Gyrdebs, and looks like we're about to start another summation examination. Let's go.
I have considered the defense attorney's request for a further summation examination of the juror, and I have determined that the court must uphold the defense's judicial right to this procedure. So, counsel, you will proceed with your second summation examination. I presume the jury is ready, Mr. Foreman.
We are, my lord.
Very good. In that case, I must ask each of you now to say clearly and concisely to the court the grounds on which you find a defendant guilty of this crime.
Judicial findings. The jurors' contentions.
The accused left behind evidence at the scene, didn't he? Those 3 books of his.
If there was some novel alternative explanation about how the victim was stabbed, I might reconsider.
Even if the woman was throwing books, it can't be related to this crime if the window was closed, can it?
Dear me, it was only a little book, hardly life-threatening even with a direct hit.
Look, I just want to get this over with. If I don't bring home some pay tonight, I'll be in a tidy bit of trouble.
Oh, come to think of it, we had a fire at home a while ago. It gave me the sneezes.
Yes. Considerably more tangible arguments from all members of the jury this time around, it seems.
Really?
With one notable exception, of course.
Yeah. My learned student friend was unable to find fault in the previous witness testimony. So the court must accept the fact that it was indeed the accused seen fleeing from the scene. And moreover, no one else was even at the scene to commit the crime.
Well, if the eyewitnesses are correct, it would seem as if the conclusion is somewhat set in stone. I fail to see how it could be argued any other way.
That means, I'm afraid, that during the summations examination, it's essential that you establish some other tangible explanation for the facts.
But how? How would we even constitute a tangible explanation here?
Isn't it obvious? Who stabbed the woman and how? Those 2 details are all you need to provide. Simply give us a name and a method by which the attack was conducted.
And here I was thinking this might be hard. While throwing the books, she threw a knife and stabbed her. I don't know.
But Mr. Naruhodo, you have to do it. Otherwise, this really will be where the trial ends.
No pressure then.
That's quite enough preamble. Proceed with the summation examination, please. I presume you are prepared, counsel.
Oh yes, my lord. Alright, Grandisque, focus your mind now. Clearly, the key to the summation examination is going to be juror number 4, the maid, or should I say Mrs. Gyrdeb.
You have a book that disappeared from the Gyrdeb's house on the evening of the incident. And a 4th book found in the victim's hand.
There must be a way to link the 2. Yes, that's what you have to find. Using every technique I've learned in my short career so far, whatever it takes.
Don't forget to keep an eye on Mrs. Gyrdeb and how she reacts, even to the things other people say.
Guessing the old man's gonna say something goofy, and she'll respond. Defense's rebuttal. Hold it. But as we know now, there were 4 books, not 3.
Well, what difference does it make?
There's every possibility that the 4th book, in fact, belongs to the defendant's landlord.
Yes, that's the part I have a problem with.
Sorry? Well, at the point the woman was stabbed, this landlord fellow was at home, wasn't he? Enjoying a fire scrap with his wife or something, you said. Not exactly how I put it, no. Well, anyway, the point is, the fellow and his wife were somewhere else when they happened.
I think that's what you call a strong alibi.
So it couldn't have been the landlord who did it, which only leaves the Nepalese fellow. Honestly, can't see what all this palaver's about. It's a done deal, isn't it? I suppose it is, since I've got nothing really left to say. So, you might be willing to change your decision, you mean?
Oh my, such a delight on your face, but I'm afraid I shan't be swayed by emotion. Despite what you may think of me, I am a very modern, metropolitan, and rational woman.
That's great.
If one reads the morning papers, it's all forgotten by tea time, isn't it? So why read them in the first place? You see, modern, metropolitan, and rational thinking, wouldn't you say?
No, and not at all extreme.
As I see it, an overwhelmingly suspicious Japanese man has been implicated by overwhelmingly strong testimony. So despite one or two minor puzzlements, I do declare that the man is overwhelmingly guilty. Modern, metropolitan, and rational logic, wouldn't you say?
Overwhelmingly.
But us modern gals are always delighted to embrace new fads, you know. So I'd be only too happy to consider an exciting new theory, if you could come up with one.
I'd be happy to do that too, if only I could.
Let's do our very best not to disappoint the modern and metropolitan young lady.
Right, I'm glad you admitted rational there. But what about the possibility that the window was open? What about it? I mean, there's just no way it could have been. How can you be so sure?
Prosecutor fellow over there said it earlier, didn't he?
Winters in London are no joke. You don't want to invite that sort of cold indoors. So no, the window wasn't open. Us Londoners like sitting by the fire and staying warm, see? But you couldn't categorically state the window wasn't open, what could you?
It just wasn't. They wouldn't have opened it.
Then what's the point of even having windows, huh?
Counsel, you will politely refrain from trying to betray.
Oh, sorry. I only need to show there's an undeniable possibility the window was open. Because this young man isn't going to budge otherwise.
Hold it!
But the little book was on fire at the time, wasn't it not?
With flames of love, I'll have you know.
There's really no such thing as a loving incendiary bomb.
Well, he brought it upon himself. It's playing fire to betray a fiery love. Isn't it? Well, don't you agree?
Well, any kind of betrayal is certainly a bad thing, yes. But I think the argument might have arisen out of your misunderstanding, Mrs. Garrett.
Never you mind that. The point is, we were just having a jovial little dispute, nothing more.
Stop it!
And I won't have any more of these suggestions that it was anything whatsoever to do with the crime.
Right, well, we'll see about that. What about juror number 5?
Hey, stop it!
It doesn't seem to be turning a hair at Miss Garrett's relentless onslaughts.
It smells as though he's used to me. What a gentle soul he is.
Hold it!
You just want to get this over with? How can you sit there and say something like that? Man's future is at stake here.
Well, him and me both then, like I said before.
What?
Told you already, I'm a day laborer, ain't I?
If I don't bring home some Reedies with me tonight,
you'll find me floating face down in the Thames tomorrow morning.
What?
You heard me. My missus isn't one to mess about, you know. She can be fierce, believe you me.
Another shining example of marital bliss, then. A situation like this cropped up the other day. It was, you know, it's funny, but I can't quite remember. Sorry? It was too frightening, that one thing. I must have blocked it out. Helpful.
I wonder if Mr. Peak will ever be dragged into the flames by his scarf.
Don't even go there, Mrs. Sato. Must be some way to jog his memory about this. Wait, am I allowed to present stuff? No. Oops.
We need to demonstrate who, apart from Mr. Natsume, could have been attacked by a young woman on the street, as well as how he or she could have done it.
Yes, but once again, the juror statements are full of personal prejudice. A lot of them seem to be convinced they're right, even in the face of logical arguments to the contrary.
I think you're going to need to put them against each other to force them to accept an alternative explanation.
Yes, not necessarily need to find contradictions between their assertions, just a connection that might do the trick. Alright, I'll see what I can do. If anything stands out, I'll go in for a strike.
That's the spirit.
Okay, I meant to press L. Does that have anything to do with your decision about the defendant's culpability in this case?
Sorry, what was that? You have to speak up, lad.
Could you tell us more about that fire?
It was last winter. My grandchildren baked me a lovely cake on my birthday. It had 75 candles on top of it. What a sight to behold it was.
You put candles on a cake? Was it some kind of devil worship?
Of course not. It was an angel cake. To celebrate my birthday, obviously. It seems it's a common courtesy here in Great Britain, Mr. Naruto. Anyway, I mustered all my puff to blow them out. Only I must have blown them wrong somehow. The flames didn't go out, but the candles went flying all over the room. The furniture caught, and everything went up. The whole place was filled with smoke.
Definitely sounds like devil worship to me. Alright, and by the sneezes, I presume you mean a cold. But how did you catch a cold from a fire?
Oh, a fiasco it was. The grandchildren, bless them, threw water on me as they tried to put out the flames. And then, because the whole room filled up with smoke, of course, we had to open all the windows to clear it.
The windows...
The biting window air rushed over me like the devil dancing on my grave, it did. I caught a terrible cold from it, and it put me in the hospital for a while. I won't forget that birthday in a hurry.
I knew it was devil worship all along. Something about this old man's testimony is playing in my mind for some reason. Okay. Pit. Objection! These two jurors' statements are clearly contradict one another.
They do? How exactly, counsel?
Don't point at me again. I told you it wasn't me. What's that to say? Speak up, lad. Speak up.
Juror number 3, do you see?
Oh, me?
See what, sir? Did you hear juror number 6's account of his birthday celebrations last year? It seems despite being a Londoner, he once opened his windows in the middle of winter. Well, yes, of course, but it was an emergency. I mean, obviously, if the room was filled with smoke from a fire, you'd be mad not to open the... Oh! Exactly. On the day in question, at the time of the incident, there was a fire in the Garadeb household, and Mr. Garadeb had the following to say about it. The whole place was filled with smoke.
Oh, my hat.
Excuse me. Juror number 4, do you have something to say about that?
Mrs.
Garadeb?
Oh, dear me. I'm What's the meaning of this? How dare you imply that I'm hiding who I really am?
It's imperative that you confirm something for the court. So please, it's time to drop the pretense now.
What is it?
When the fire started in your house that day, did you or your husband open the window?
Oh, I beg your pardon. What are you insinuating?
The room would have been thick with smoke after the carpet and the bookface caught fire as they did. In a situation like that, it's inconceivable that you wouldn't have opened the window.
Oh. And what if we did?
Hmm?
Oh, all right then. Yes, you're right. My husband was frantically trying to open the window, which can't have been easy since I continued to give him a justly deserved book battering.
Even though your house was on fire?
Oh, you never stop throwing until the anger subsides. It would definitely be terribly bad for the nerves to do otherwise.
Of course, I should have realized.
That's a significant step forward, Mr. Naruto. You managed to establish that the window was open. You simply must have added that to the Miss Garrett's formal statement.
Objection!
These two statements contradict each other. I have to object. What? Anchor. And don't forget an educated man. And there's no contradiction as far as I... What? Whoops. Oh. So I didn't have to do it again. Alright. Let me try this.
Objection! Hold it!
Okay. Probably shouldn't be burning these. Whatever. I just press right. The fourth book found at the scene of the crime shows very obvious signs of damage. The title of the book is The Lion's Pride. The same title, in fact, as the book Mr. Garrett told us he had been reading.
Oh, I really couldn't say.
On the day in question, did you or did you not throw at your husband the copy of The Lion's Pride that he had been reading?
I did.
Hmm?
It was the first thing I could lay my hands on, so I hurled it straight at him. Now you come to mention it, yes. He was rather enjoying reading it, you're right.
Why did you not reveal this information to the court from the outset?
Because I couldn't, you insolent little man. I didn't remember. At times like that, you pick up and throw whatever you can lay your hands on as well, you know.
I really don't.
Barely noticed I was throwing a book, much less the title of it.
Ha!
Excuse me!
What is it, juror number 5?
You know something? I've remembered what it was. That memory I blocked out.
Huh?
I was listening to what this granny was saying. Brought it all flooding back. Who you're calling a granny? You cheeky devil. I'm Mrs. Garrett or the maid, I'll have you know.
The man doesn't even flinch. Please tell me that's not because he's used to being hit all the time. Yeah.
It was about 2 weeks ago now. I just got back home after work, like. I put my hand in my pocket for the wages I'd earned that day, and I nearly died. It was all. Every last penny had dropped out.
Oh dear, what a disaster.
You haven't heard the half of it, boy.
Oh?
The wife was cutting up some chicken at the time. I could hardly get the words out, but I told her straight, I've lost a day's wages, love. Next thing I knew it, the blade was hurtling past my ear. It stuck into the wall next to me, it did. About an inch deep.
Yikes. Oh, no words, just terror. I could smell it then, you know, the good awful stench of the Thames. I was sure I was going to end up face down in the muddy banks that night, I can tell you. Now, that's a real disaster, isn't it? I'll never use that word lightly again. Anyway, the point is I'm trying to make is this. When women lose their rag, they'll throw anything at you. Knives, hatchets, hammers, you name it.
Mr. Murdo, you mustn't think that all women are so short-tempered and unrefined.
No, I wasn't thinking of that. No societal takedown for me.
Throwing household objects at people is, well, it's so uncivilized. At least attack with honor. Use a bow, or the like.
What? Attack? Who are you going to attack?
Never mind. Anyway, this man's words could be rather significant, I think.
Alright, we'll come back to the bow and arrow thing later if I dare. Okay.
Objection!
These two statements clearly have a deeply significant connection.
Good grief. You mean they don't contradict each other? Explain it, counsel, at once.
Juror number 2, do you think perhaps that this could be one such novel alternative?
Oh my, whatever do you mean?
An alternative explanation as to how the victim was stabbed in the back?
What are you talking about?
We've demonstrated that the first book, The Lion's Pride, that was found at the scene of the crime, originated at Mr. Garrideb's room on the top floor of his house. Therefore, it's equally possible that some other object besides the book could have found its way from the Garrideb household to the street below. What's that now? After all, Mrs. Garrideb could have thrown any number of different objects at her husband. Isn't that right, juror number 4?
What are you insinuating now, you little beanpole?
I'm beginning to think that ever since the true origins of this book came to light, perhaps she had a feeling this might be what happened.
Now, you listen here, you Eastern Gala. As the foreman of this jury, I demand a straight answer. You give us this yarn about some other object making its way out of the house, but what? What was it?
I'm really taking a big gamble here. That was a bold accusation to make, but I haven't any real evidence to back it up. But I'm certain that at the very least this warrants further investigation. Alright, Mr. Foreman, I'll try to explain the defense's theory. The other object that was found its way from the Garrideb household to the scene of the crime.
Take that!
Juror number 4, Mrs. Garrideb.
Oh, what now?
Must apologize in advance for this, but I need you to confirm something else for this court. This knife. Have you ever seen this knife before?
Oh,
Good Lord, counsel. What on earth are you doing? That's the weapon that was lodged in the victim's back, man.
yes, I threw it at her.
My lord, remember that when the victim was attacked, Mr. and Mrs. Garrideb were in the throes of an argument. Mrs. Garrideb was hurling anything she could at her husband, who had been backed up against the window. A window that had been opened to clear the smoke, and through which a book sailed to land at the crime scene.
You can't seriously believe that book was found in the victim's grasp.
Are you saying that it flew out of the window and across the street to land neatly in her hand?
Even my missus hadn't got a name like that.
Yes, I admit there are many details we don't yet understand, but that's the point. That's precisely why. We must not allow this trial to end, not right now.
Oh my.
Mrs. Garrideb, your answer, please. Have you seen this knife before or not? She did. She could at least lied.
My lord, I wish to change my decision. I'm a woman of my word, after all.
Thank you, madam.
Yes, I agree. I certainly didn't see this coming, but I just don't think it would be right for this trial to come to an end with so many unanswered questions.
Mr. Foreman. I'd have to agree. Not that I think the granny did it mine. Yes, you know what? I'm not quite happy about this at the moment either.
All together now, ladies and gents.
We did it!
Oh, congratulations, Mr. Naruto.
So as a result of the defense's examination, a number of jurors' leanings have changed. 2 jurors called guilty against 4 now calling innocent. Accordingly, the opinion of this court is divided, and the trial will continue.
Alright, this looks like a good place to stop. Next time, we'll continue the trial. Thanks for watching. See ya.